Harper's Creek, a small town where memories run deep and secrets run deeper. 10 years ago, a girl vanished. Today, a body returns the boy who lived that night. Sheriff Mara Collins is forced to listen to the past, love, blame, and a mother's silence that changes everything. When the creek finally spills its truth, who will survive? Listen to the quiet killing of Harper's Creek. The morning fog was thick enough to make Harper's Creek look like a ghost of itself. Sheriff Mara Collins stood at the edge of the old wooden bridge, coffee going cold in her hand, watching two deputies string up yellow tape. The smell of wet pine mixed with something metallic, the kind of smell that didn't belong in a place this quiet. Male, mid-30s, Deputy Ruiz said, flipping through his notebook, found by a jogger at dawn. Looks like blunt force trauma to the head. Mara took a slow breath. The creek ran under the bridge, narrow and dark, its water curling around smooth stones. The body lay half submerged by the bank, one arm twisted behind him like a puppet whose strings had snapped. Name? She asked, still working on it. No wallet, no phone. Ruiz shifted uneasily, but people around here say he looks like Danny Mercer. The name hit her like a sudden drop in temperature. Danny Mercer, the boy who used to mow her lawn every summer, the one who'd gone to California 10 years ago chasing something better. He's been gone a long time, Mara murmured. What the hell's he doing back here? By 9 a.m., the town of Harper's Creek was buzzing. The news spread faster than wildfire in dry grass. At the diner, the waitress whispered about it while pouring coffee. At the hardware store, old men traded theories like baseball cards. Nobody had seen Danny Mercer in years, not since his father's funeral, not since that fight with Cole Bryant outside the church. Mara stood near her cruiser, watching the coroner's van pull away. Her radio crackled. "Sheriff, you might wanna come down to Mercer's old place." Somebody broke in. Of course they did, she thought. The Mercer house sat on the outskirts of town, peeling paint, roof sagging, a relic of better times. Inside, the air smelled of mildew and dust. Drawers yanked open, cupboards emptied, and on the kitchen table a half-empty whiskey bottle. An old photograph, Danny as a teenager, grinning beside a girl with honey, blonde hair. Mara recognized her instantly. Leela Bryant, Cole's sister. She pressed her lips together. Some things in this town never stayed buried. She was about to bag the photo when the floorboard creaked behind her. She turned hand instinctively on her gun, but it was just Hank Mercer, Danny's uncle, his eyes red, rimmed and wet. "I heard," he said quietly. "God help us, I heard." Mara's voice softened. "I'm sorry, Hank. We're doing everything we can. He didn't deserve this," Hank said, shaking his head. "Whatever people thought about him, he wasn't bad, just..." Lost, Mara didn't answer, because she remembered Danny Mercer too well, the way he used to laugh, the way he and Leela had been inseparable that summer before everything fell apart, and she remembered the night Lila went missing. She'd been 16. They'd searched the whole town, every inch of the woods, never found a trace, and now, 10 years later, Danny Mercer was back and dead. Mara walked out to the porch, her boots crunching over dry leaves. The autumn sun had burned off the fog, revealing the sleepy town below the white steeple, the diner, the gas station, the creek glinting. Like silver thread, she pulled out her phone and dialed. "Cole Bryant," she said when he picked up. "We need to talk." Cole Bryant's auto shop sat at the edge of Main Street, where the town's asphalt gave way to gravel and pine. The place smelled of oil, burnt coffee, and old regrets. Sheriff Mara Collins pushed through the door, the bell chiming above her head. Cole was under a lifted truck, grease staining his hands and forearms. He rolled out slowly, squinting up at her. 10 years had carved new lines into his face, but the eyes were the same sharp, unreadable blue. "Sheriff," he said, wiping his hands on a rag. "Didn't expect to see you here this early." "Morning, Cole," Mara replied. "You heard about the body?" He froze for half a second. It was subtle, but she caught it. "Yeah, folks been talking. Said it might be Danny Mercer." "It is." The rag slipped from his hand. He didn't say anything for a moment, just stared past her toward the open bay door where the trees swayed against a cloudy sky. "Jesus," he finally muttered. "Danny, you two ever talk after he left town?" Cole shook his head. "Not once." "We weren't exactly on good terms, you remember?" Mara did. Everyone in Harper's Creek did. The fight outside the church after Leela disappeared, Cole accusing Danny of knowing something, Danny bloody and silent. It was the last anyone had seen of him. You think he came back for something? Mara asked. Maybe closure, Cole said, or maybe guilt. About Leela, he met her eyes then, the anger and pain rising like old smoke. You gonna start that again, Sheriff? You were there. You know he was the last one to see her. Mara's jaw tightened. I know she was never found. And I know you nearly killed him that night. Cole looked away. Doesn't mean I didn't love her. Mara studied him for a long moment. He wasn't lying, not entirely. But there was something guarded in his tone. Something that said there were words he'd swallowed for years and couldn't spit out. Now, not even if he wanted to. Where were you last night? She asked. At home, Cole said, watching the game alone. Anyone who can back that up? He gave her a tired smile. Nope. But you can check the beer cans if you want. Mara didn't bother to respond. She'd known Cole since they were kids. He wasn't stupid, but he carried his guilt like an oil stain that never came out. As she turned to leave, Cole called out, You think someone killed him because of what happened to her? I don't know, Mara said, but it sure feels like the past just came home. That afternoon, Mara drove to the high school where the town's annual fall festival was being set up banners, pumpkin stands, laughter that felt too normal for a day like this. Deputy Ruiz waved her over. Sheriff, we pulled something off the body, he said, handing her a plastic evidence bag. Inside was a rusted silver locket, cracked at the hinge. Mara flipped it open. Inside, behind the smeared glass, was a tiny photo of Leela Bryant, same honey. Blonde hair, same summer smile. Her stomach dropped. Where'd you find it? She asked, in his jacket pocket. She stared at the locket for a long time. 10 years gone, and he'd kept her picture with him. Later, Mara drove out to Hank Mercer's again. The sun was dipping low, painting the pines gold and orange. Hank was on the porch, smoking a cigarette like he'd been doing it all his life. He loved that girl. Hank said before Mara even spoke. I told him she was trouble, but he wouldn't listen. Said she was the only person who ever saw him. Do you know why he came back? Hank shrugged. Said he got a letter, no return address, just a few words. You owe her the truth. Mara frowned. You still have it? I burned it, Hank said. Didn't want the cops sniffing around. She sighed. Well, that didn't work out. He chuckled softly, a dry, broken sound. No, I suppose it didn't. That night, Mara sat in her office, the locket under the desk lamp. The glow made it gleam like something holy and sad. She thought of that summer of Leela, always barefoot, always laughing, and of Danny, the boy from the wrong side of the tracks who wanted out so bad. He'd nearly drowned trying to swim across the creek when his bike broke down. Something about that year had never fit right. Her phone buzzed. Ruiz again. Sheriff, you better come down to the station. We've got someone who says they saw Danny last week. When she arrived, a teenage girl sat on the bench outside the holding cell's red hoodie, chewing her nails. Name's Tara. Ruiz said quietly. Works part-time at the diner. Says she waited on him. Mara crouched down beside the girl. You saw Danny Mercer. Yeah, Tara said, eyes darting nervously. He came in last Thursday, ordered coffee and a biltee, paid in cash. Did he talk to anyone? Tara nodded. Yeah, some woman. She sat in his booth. Brown hair, wore a green coat. They argued. Did you catch what about? Something about it wasn't supposed to happen that way. That's what she said. Then he said, I'm telling the truth this time. She got up and left. Mara's pulse quickened. Did you recognize her? Tara hesitated. I think it was Mrs. Bryant. Mara stood slowly. Helen Bryant, Leela and Cole's mother. And now the past didn't just look suspicious, it looked deliberate. Outside the station, the night was heavy and windless. Somewhere beyond the pines, the creek whispered through the dark, carrying secrets it had been keeping for a decade. Mara looked up at the stars, her breath clouding the cold air. If Helen Bryant had met with Danny, and if Danny had come back to make something right, then maybe, just maybe, Layla's disappearance hadn't been a teenage tragedy. Maybe it had been a murder from the start, and if that was true, then the person who killed Danny Mercer wasn't done yet. The next morning, fog rolled through Harper's Creek again, soft and heavy as breath on glass. Sheriff Mara Collins parked outside the Bryant farmhouse, its white siding peeling, porch swing hanging crooked. The place looked like time had just given up on it. Helen Bryant opened the door before Mara even knocked. Her hair was still perfect, pinned the same way it had been since Mara was a kid, but her eyes looked drained like someone who hadn't slept in years. "Sheriff," she said evenly, "I heard you've been asking about me." "I heard you met with Danny Mercer last week," Mara said. Helen's lips trembled just barely. "He came by uninvited. Said he wanted to apologize for Layla." "Apologize for what?" "For existing," Helen said bitterly. "For breaking her heart, for ruining this family." Mara took a slow step inside. The living room was spotless, not a speck of dust, not a single photo out of place, except for one frame on the mantel turned face down. She reached for it. Helen's voice snapped like a whip. "Don't." But Mara turned it over anyway. It was a picture of Layla and Danny, arms around each other, laughing by the creek. Someone had drawn a shaky black line through Danny's face. "You kept this," Mara said quietly, "after all this time." Helen's shoulders slumped. "A mother keeps everything, Sheriff, even the things she hates. Did you kill him?" Helen's head jerked up, eyes flaring. "My God, no, you think I'd. You met him," Mara cut in. "You argued. He had Layla's locket in his pocket. And you've been sitting here guarding ghosts for 10 years. Helen's jaw trembled. "I told him to leave town. He said he couldn't. Said he found something that would clear his name. I didn't want to hear it. Did he tell you what it was?" Helen's eyes filled. "Just that I needed to ask my son." Mara's tires spun gravel as she pulled into Cole Bryant's driveway 10 minutes later. He was already outside, arms crossed, watching her approach like he'd been expecting her. "You talked to my mother," he said flatly. "She said Danny came back with proof of something. Said I should ask you." Cole's jaw clenched. He turned away, pacing toward the barn. "You ever wonder why they never found her, Mara? 10 years, all those searches, and not a trace." "Every damn day," Mara said. Cole stopped and faced her, voice low, "because she didn't just disappear. She drowned. I saw it happen." The words hung between them, heavy and cold. "Start from the beginning," Mara said. "It was the night of the festival. She was supposed to meet Danny by the creek, tell him she was leaving with him. I followed her." He swallowed hard. "They were arguing. She told him she wasn't ready. He grabbed her arm, not to hurt her, just desperate. She pulled away, slipped on the rocks. I heard her hit the water. He jumped in after her, but the current was strong that night. And you didn't tell anyone." Cole's voice broke. "I panicked. By the time I got to the bank, they were both gone. I ran home soaked and told Ma she was missing. The next morning, Danny was gone too. I thought he'd killed her. But he didn't," Mara said. "He tried to save her." Cole nodded weakly. "He came back last week. Told me he'd found something, her bracelet. Said he wanted to tell the truth, clear it all up. He looked away, eyes glistening. I told him to go to hell." Mara's throat tightened. "You didn't hurt him, did you?" "No," Cole whispered, "but I wasn't the last one to see him." He looked up at her, pain and shame tangled in his face. "After he left me that night, Ma came by the shop. Said she needed to talk to him alone." Mara's pulse thudded. "She said she didn't kill him. She might not have meant to," Cole said, "but she's stronger than she looks, Sheriff, and she's been protecting me my whole life." Back at the Bryant house, the front door was open. The place was quiet, too quiet. "Helen," Mara called, stepping inside. No answer. Just the creak of floorboards, the distant hum of wind through broken shutters. On the kitchen table lay a letter, sealed with a trembling hand. Mara opened it. "To whoever finds this, I spent 10 years hating a boy for something he didn't do. I told myself it was justice. Truth is, it was fear. I couldn't lose both my children, so I buried one and blamed the other. He came back to tell the truth, and I couldn't bear it. We fought by the creek. He slipped. I tried to pull him out, but the current took him just like it took her. I told myself I'd done it for love, but love isn't supposed to rot you from the inside. Please tell Cole I'm sorry. Helen Bryant Mara folded the letter, her hands shaking. Outside, the sky had gone gray, and rain began to fall slow at first, then steady, soaking the dirt road and the yellow tape that still fluttered by the creek. She walked down there alone, the air thick with the smell of wet pine and river silt. The water murmured softly over the stones, as if whispering all the things it had kept hidden. She stood where Danny's body had been found, where Leela's laughter once echoed, and thought of the lives this town had swallowed. Harper's Creek was quiet again, but not the peaceful kind of quiet, the kind that follows confession, the kind that settles after a storm. When she got back to her cruiser, she saw Cole standing by the fence, soaked through, staring at her with eyes that held too many years of sorrow. "She did it, didn't she?" he asked. "She said it was an accident," Mara said softly. Cole nodded once, tears mixing with the rain. "She spent her life saving me from things I never asked her to." Mara didn't answer. She didn't have to. The creek behind them roared louder, the water rising. It would wash away the footprints soon, all of them, but not the memories, never the memories. A month later, the town held a small service by the water, 3 white lilies floating downstream, one for each lost soul. Sheriff Myra Collins stood with her hands in her pockets, wind cutting across her coat. Ruiz handed her a thermos of coffee. "You think the town will ever move on?" he asked. She looked out at the current. "Maybe, but Harper's Creek doesn't forget. It just keeps flowing." And as the water carried the lilies away, the sun broke through the clouds, pale, fragile, but real. For the first time in 10 years, it felt like morning again. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.